Good morning, Service Lines community. How y'all doing today? It's really Monday this time. I promise it's really Monday. What's up, brother Doug?
It is Monday. Oh, okay. It's Martin Luther King Day, so Connecticut shuts down, so it's not really Monday. Well, I'm working. My wife has asked me that for like 20 years. Do you guys have Martin Luther King off? No, we don't have Martin Luther King Day off. So she thinks we're like banks.
Yeah, I mean, like every appliance guy, every service guy gets asked, like, do you take this generic holiday off? No.
Three Kings Day, no.
Abraham Lincoln birthday? No, we take the real holidays off.
That's it. Today I woke up not excited and ready to chomp down a brand new Monday of the first quarter of 2024, but hanging out with you, Zach, and some of these guys that come on. Hopefully the engine will get started here.
Why weren't you excited, Doug? Why weren't you excited?
Man, I should be. We got a whole bunch of stuff going on. We've got 2 people training as technicians, and we're getting so much done. I don't know. I'll report back next week, see what the real issue was. Might have been constipation or something. I don't know. Who knows what makes you feel the way you feel, right, Sam?
Oh my goodness gracious, Doug. I'm checking on Texas down there, or attempting to check on Texas down there. Anyone checked in on Texas? Are they still alive?
What happened? I don't read the news. What happened?
It's cold.
Oh, yeah. Well, I heard Jeremy. He was pretty upset about it on Wednesday morning last week, complaining about the cold weather. And we were having like 50, 60 degree weather in Connecticut with mud. So I thought that was kind of fun. But
-10 right now. I'm sure Adam is feeling about the same thing. But yeah, we're hovering at -10.
Yeah. You know what? Adam's not in Texas. He's not having the cold weather.
No, he's up north. He's north of me, so either he's got the same crap I got or colder.
But he comes from, so it must be Midwest. Is that where Adam's from? The Midwest area up north?
It's Minnesota, Wisconsin, right, Adam?
Yeah. See how polite he was, unlike Saul? Like, he didn't rub it in. He said, I feel bad for them, but like Saul would just, what's going on here? All right. I think Saul's trying to be more of a gentleman. I mean, that's what I've been praying for lately. So
58 in Orlando, so I don't know. That's about normal for Florida weather. I don't feel bad for them. I don't feel bad for them at all. So what are we talking about today, Doug?
We're going to talk a little bit about strategy, right? Strategizing your business,
your growth, and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'd love to share a couple of things about what I think I did wrong and what I learned and what we're starting to do right well now, so it'll be fun.
Yeah, I love it. I think this is a great topic. The reason we're a little slow in starting is the pre-roll conversation was awesome. I think there's a lot in our audience, because I see it in the Facebook groups, that just aren't sure how to grow the right way, right? Like, they say, "Oh, I want to grow," or I want to make more money, or but there's not strategy behind that. So some surprises can happen. Some do think about it, but get caught off guard when they didn't fully flush out the strategy. So, be a good topic. I'm excited.
Yeah, hopefully you have all the answers to solve their problems, Zach.
I'm still learning, but we're going to talk about our experience and what we've been through, and kind of some of the strategies that have helped us overcome the challenges. So
let me open us up in prayer.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Lord. It's a new year still, and so much of our mindset focuses on that. So God, please help us all put you first in our lives, first in our heart, first in our family, and first in our business. Lord, we seek you to help guide us to do the right thing. And we know, Lord, that in the end, you'll provide everything that we need. Lord, we thank you for this community of people. Lord, there's there's ways to grow your lid, to learn. And we are so blessed to have people who genuinely come alongside one another, sharing their strengths and weaknesses, their successes and their challenges. And so, Lord, give us ears to hear and minds to absorb. And Lord, we just ask for one great idea today, one thing to motivate us, to show us the way. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Saul's mother-in-law.
I put that comment up before the prayer.
Okay. Goodness. Saul went right to his mother-in-law. Damn, he's brave.
I'm spoiled. I got a nice mother-in-law. She's generally here in the morning babysitting my child. So
there you go. There you go.
Oh, so where do you want to start with this one, Doug? I mean, it's just such a. How do you want to kick this off?
Well, I think let me just tell you quickly that it's actually going into my 11th year as a general manager. And when I took over, I didn't have any of leadership experience other than what I gained along the way. As fellow technicians came to me for advice because maybe I looked like the one that was the least frustrated or the one that had much success. So they came to me.
Has
and I gave them
nothing to do with the salt and pepper in your hair.
No. Well, maybe. I don't know. But they'd come to me, and sometimes they would do exactly what I said, and it worked, and it didn't work. And then they'd give me a look. But they kept trusting me. So taking over has been a journey. And from your question last night, or it's the statement of strategy, I just thought a little bit about that and realized that much of my strategy has been reactive. Mm-hmm. Like I see in the that classic question that comes like, hey, is it slow for you guys? And then you've got the 7 people that say, I'm booked out 2 weeks. Well, we all know that those people are understaffed. Right. And that you are only that busy all year long because you either have no competition or that you could bring in more business for yourself.
Correct.
And so I'm not judging those people, but obviously from their perspective, I feel like their mindset is pretty narrow and they don't realize the opportunity, or maybe they do. Maybe they're like, I don't want the headaches of 3 more technicians and 3 more trucks, and I'd have to hire some more people in the office, that kind of thing. So
that's the perfect time for the quote. Bigger business, bigger problems.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I mean, the last
bigger business, there's going to be bigger problems. So
the last time we got on, when I got off the podcast, we had 5 employees out, right? And for some people that would be catastrophic. It was not pretty. It was 4 technicians and 1 office person. So now we're struggling on the phones, and we now have to move 40 service calls somewhere. And but you know what? We have a staff of 16 techs. So it's not the worst thing, but it still sucks. It really, really does suck. And so we just have to get our numbers to a place where I guess 4 doesn't bother me. But the more people you have, the more opportunity that people are going to call out sick.
Sure. And so I think to your point, there is some wisdom. Those people may look at and go, I don't want growth. I'm good where I'm at. I'm making a check. I'm fine. Cool. All right. That's their strategy. Fantastic. For those of you that do want to grow, what does your strategy look like? How many of you guys have actually thought through beyond just, I want to make more money or I want to grow my business? Because those are generic, crappy answers. Like, it's a start, but if you stop there, it's not going to go as well as you think it's going to go, right? And so how do we strategize some growth? How do we begin to move from the reactive into planning, but still be able to react when we need to? Because there is some reaction that will have to happen, right?
Well, so why don't we just make a golden rule? If you're beginning this strategy or thinking this strategy through, maybe you're in it, and you're frustrated that things go wrong, why don't you just make the golden rule? Things are going to definitely go wrong. It's just the reality. If you play it safe, things still go bad, but in a safer way. So we are going to step out of the comfort zone. So be prepared and don't take it personally, right?
What was one of the things, and I think this is a great spot to start. So you started as a technician, you guys kind of came up and then you left and you came back and you came back and there's 8 technicians at this point. But what was one of the things that caught you guys off guard as you were growing? Like what was one of the first things that you guys had to react to because it wasn't kind of planned out? I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot there, but
well, there's a ton of things, right? Like for things that you learn, like, how we talk about KPIs a lot, key performance indicators, know these numbers and these metrics. My whole career, wherever I started at and I brought it to action, we knew our numbers, but we did absolutely nothing with them. You just received them and you'd look at them. There was no coaching, no mentoring, no being held accountable. It was like, the sheep, we just shamed each other. Like I remember 2 of us or 3 of us shamed this one guy, Tom, right out of the business. We're looking like he's just got the worst walk rate ever. And we're just like judging the hell out of him, throwing him the classic appliance, skull bitterness at him. And, sure enough, I wonder why he left. And that's not a fault of the owner, because when I became the general manager 10 years ago, I continued that tradition of, I have KPIs. Here you go, guys. Take your numbers. Go figure it out. So that's something that I wished early on I was developing, is that the way to coach and hold people accountable in the most positive of ways, and to learn how to make the decision if somebody does not want to accept those numbers and work on them. Right.
I took that method from EJ and applied it within my business, right? Coach them up, coach them out.
Yes.
And so maybe Tom, right? Like I'm gonna be hypothetical here because we don't know what the outcome is. We know what already happened.
Right.
But maybe Tom's walk rate was just because he wasn't a great salesman. He didn't know how to be confident in the repair. And what would have happened if one of you top dog technicians, right, would have taken some time to go, hey, listen, you got this massive walk rate. Here's how you can kind of pivot from that. Like what's going on? Is it you're just not confident in the repair? Do you need some training? Are you just not great in talking to the customer? Like what is really going on causing a high walk rate, And so with a little bit of coaching, maybe he could have been better, or maybe not, but he would have been coached out in the right way. You would have known, okay, here's the traits that were in Tom that we didn't want. So when we go to hire, here's the traits that we do want. Right.
And for anyone, Zach, that's listening and going, yeah, it's pretty cut and dry, Zach. Obviously, that's common sense.
Not in the moment.
But it isn't, because there's so many, there's a bunch of variations of that. Yeah. There's people that don't know and get discouraged and they're not being coached at all, and they leave.
Right.
You don't know if they met their potential or not. They could have a closed mindset. You could have hired a mechanic and not a people person. Oh, that's not going to work. But some of those people can turn and see the light. That's potentially a lot of work and high risk. So there's just all these categories of, how do you encourage those who have a mind to grow? How do you hold people accountable that have a mindset that's locked down? And, and then everything in between. And by the way, you have to keep your business running as you're trying to coach them up and or coach them out. It is not even cut and dry. I mean, if you have a certain amount of expense each month, you need those bodies to get the job done.
So I think the biggest takeaway in this section, like from this lesson from you, to summarize, because we want to go through as much strategy as we can. We got to be strategic in our hiring, and we got to be strategic in our firing if we want to grow, right? We need to be strategic in how we work with our employees who's leading them, who's coaching them, how we're helping them. We need to be strategic in our manpower. Okay. From hiring to coaching to firing, we have to be very strategic if we want to see successful growth, right?
Right.
We want to see headaches, then just go ahead and do what you're doing and
Sure.
see what happens. You get what you got. What are some of the other things that kind of caught you guys off guard?
Well, I mean, just one concluding thought on
sure.
it is it's let's see what I've got kind of thing. It's going to be your fault. It's our fault all the time, right? And so as we went from 8 to 10 to 12, technicians, I started to get a little strategic during COVID. I'm like, screw this. I need to take control of this. I'm going to hire 4 techs from scratch, which means that we were going to grow to a size we've never been. And we were going to have, a quarter of that staff being green. I kind of thought I might need some more help in the leadership realm, but I decided to put that off and hire the people first. And that was a bumpy road. Now, I don't even know. I could still look back on that and say, well, then I'd have to eat a service manager salary, because what we've done is bring in 2 service managers to help the 16 technicians, because one, what size can you get to? I don't know if our company could have afforded to take on that service manager to then bring the extra staff on and hope that they work out and train them up, coach them up, or coach them out. So yeah, I that's how we did it. Is we brought the 4 on. There were some casualties there, and I'd probably say I'm still in the midst where the leadership team is not where we need to be quite yet. And so everything's a work in progress. But to be able to say that every step you have to do it that one way, it can be done in different ways.
Well, I think that, that rolls into the next strategy, growing your leadership team, right? If you want to grow your business, you have to grow a leadership team. And so just from an outside perspective, how could Doug have handled that COVID situation different? It's hard to eat a service manager position, but is there someone within your technicians that you could give a pay bump to be a lead tech, right? So you got a lead tech in charge of maybe 5 other guys or 6 other guys, right? Like split your team in half. They're in charge of 8. I don't care. Yeah. Would a lead tech be a good pathway? Can you find someone with leadership ability within that? So we got to be strategic in who we're bringing on in leadership, right? And that applies to the office. That applies to anything within the business, right? And so what are some of the successes and failures you've had in working with leadership as you're trying to grow it up? And
I think any business, any size, can afford to give somebody who shows promise a little bit of extra compensation.
Agreed.
But most importantly, giving them the opportunity to succeed and fail in leadership. Yeah, that's right. So
that's Saul. That's his response to your salty Saul.
Yeah. An hour later, he's off his game on a Monday. So I feel like that thing I did before I became in charge, where people came to me, was me being able to develop leadership and coaching abilities before I had the role. So you hate to see somebody move on because they don't see a future path. So being strategic about that, I love the lead tech idea. And be very clear about what you plan on asking them to do, and give some clear and measurable numbers for them to hit so that you can celebrate together the successes of that lead tech, as well as say, hey, we're falling short. What can we do? And work on that together as a team. So I love the lead tech idea.
You and I have talked about that at length.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, we recognize losing. I brought Lorenzo on one time on a podcast, right? He was coming by my office, and he's a young kid. He gave notice a few weeks ago. So his brother works for a utility company. It's a union thing, and he believes it's a better opportunity there. And after half a year of training in the full 2023, I mean, he was incredible. He was like right there in the top 5
Right.
with less than 2 years of experience. The right attitude. He's a good looking kid, loves people. What did I do wrong? Nothing. I did nothing wrong. This happens too. That's the lesson that I learned. That, you know, you can't, you're out of control of these things. So
Sure.
I realized I have to have a pipeline that keeps building and I have to control that flow rate. Maybe I should always have somebody training.
I think we
Because
can.
somebody might retire. Somebody might, we might grow some more.
I don't disagree with that, but I think we can minimize that. I think we can create a place where people want to stay, where it doesn't seem like the grass is greener on the other side. How do we? I'm not saying I have the answer to that today, right?
Yeah.
But how do we strategize that? I think we need to strategize that, because my takeaway in that kid was on fire, and you have a place for him to grow to.
Yeah.
And you're heading that direction. Your lid is growing, which everyone else's lid is coming along with you. Law of the lid, if you've not heard us talk about that before. And so how do we create a space where the Lorenzos of companies want to stay? They have this fierce loyalty, and they're like, you know what? Yeah, it seems like it's a better place to be, but this is the place I'm supposed to be. So how do we create that space? I think we need to begin to strategize that if we want to see long-term sustainable growth. Yes, people are going to leave. It's going to happen. But how do we minimize that? How do we make that mesh, that net, a little bit tighter so that we're not losing as many?
It's not going to happen overnight. It's not,
correct.
Like right now, I'm in this webinar with like 5 other small businesses. It's 6 classes, and I'm the smallest business in this group.
Yeah.
And it's all kinds of industries. So I'm humbly listening and confidently contributing. And what's amazing to me is this company that got absorbed, the software company, by a bigger mother company. They have no purpose. They don't know their why, and they have 0 company culture.
Guess what's coming down the pipeline?
How do you get? What's that?
It's going to be attrition pretty soon.
That's right. So part of this webinar is to evaluate all those things you talked about, right? Know who you are, your purpose, your why. We are grateful as a small appliance business from Connecticut to have a really strong mission and vision statement. Stay focused, Zach. Don't keep pumping that stuff up. And so I'm ahead of the game over this company that is probably millions and millions more than us in revenue, where they have to build their culture up. So we all are going to come at it but yet Action Appliance has a strong culture. But the question is our leadership conveying it well? Is our leadership able to see a struggling partner out, a team member? And when they see them struggling, are they doing what they can? This is, once you grow your leadership team, you have less and less control over the day-to-day. Your eyes and your ears become a little bit weaker until your leadership teams reports back and has that same like-minded approach to hearing it. What are we looking and listening for? So we're work in progress. Lorenzo is a casualty. But based on a very important pamphlet, step 4 is, remember that just do your best. Yeah. And right now, even with a leadership team that has a lot of work to go, they are doing the best they can, as well as myself. And so, yeah, there is a casualty that comes along for sure. And that can't stop you. Imagine if that derailed me and I go, screw this, forget it. I'm getting rid of some of this leadership. I'm scaling down. I'm playing it safe. And I'm not trying to grow Action. We don't have aspirations to take on New England. We want to be the most efficient and capable for where we're currently at, And right now that means I think another 3 or 4 technicians.
So 2 lessons in there: strategic growth and leadership. So strategically pouring into your leadership team. Are you building and equipping and giving them the things they need to grow their lids within leadership? Are they the right leaders, right? We always have to ask that question. Are they in the right seat? Are they doing what they're supposed to do? And I think that's one of the harder ones, right? We read another pamphlet that all you guys whined about, but I think it's a great parable of what happens within our businesses.
Yeah.
And so are we paying attention to who's in this, what seat and what they're doing along the way as we're growing? So strategic and leadership, and then being strategic in who we are as a company, because everything else is filtered through that lens. Everything has to be filtered through who we are as a company and what our goals are as a company. Doug just said, we're not trying to take over New England, but we want to be very efficient. So we want to add 4 more technicians. Do we have the leadership in place to add 4 more technicians?
Right.
How are we being strategic within that, right? So understanding what your short-term mission. So if I was to give a mission statement for the next 2 years for Action Appliance, it would be something about being the most efficient at serving the customers in our area. And that's a short-term mission, right? Because in 2 years, when they've added the 4 techs and they become more efficient and their leadership's more efficient, that mission's going to change. Because maybe it is. We want to be all over Connecticut. We want to literally the entire state. We want the whole state, right? And so that becomes the next mission. I'm not putting that in Doug's mouth, by the way. This is just so you can kind of see what the progression of that would be.
Yeah, I mean, part of that does live in the short term and the long term, Zach. This desire to be efficient and world class. If you're a one man show, you can almost guarantee that when you're in the home, you're going to do it as well as you want it to be done, right?
Yep.
But it's when you grow that team that you have to trust in others, that you have to have a strong process and procedure. So scaling up something and not losing its luster. Like I'd say a McDonald's has lost its luster, or Walmart has lost its original statement, right? So I would say that for us, short-term and long-term, can we not lose our identity if we were to scale up in a bigger way? And that just means definitely that second strategic importance, which is a really strong leadership.
Yep.
You can never lose. You can never lose, because
that filters through your vision. Your vision is your long term, right? So you have to filter your mission statement and your leadership and your hiring all through that vision statement. So what's the ultimate vision of Action Appliance?
Yeah.
What's our current mission? Do those align? Does this current mission and that vision align? Great.
Yeah.
Does my leadership, my mission, and my vision align? Yes or no? Does my staff, my leadership, my mission, my vision, is that all in alignment? So you can see it, bigger business, bigger problems, right? And you're always having to filter through that. But it can be fun too, right, Doug?
Oh, it is a lot of fun. As a matter of fact, I would say now, you know how you go through something and then you look back on it and you go, yeah, I should have brushed my teeth every day. You know, you whatever you've learned from, don't obsess so much on the day-to-day and the making the money. Develop a process that this can be done without you, because you really, really do need to grow your lid. Because you will eventually, or if it hasn't already happened, everyone will be caught up to your gifts and abilities. They're going to know as much as you know, but they're going to look to you as the owner or the leader to take it to the next level. And if you're going along, figuring it out as you go, they're right on your heels, nipping at your heels, going, "What's next? We'll go here." And if you decide, let's go here, and it doesn't work, because you still have to fail. You have to fail a few times before you hit that successful, whatever it is, strategy, process, procedure. Sometimes things need to kind of mess up. They could get discouraged. So I'm going to just say, don't shortchange and cheat yourself. You need to keep growing. You need to keep learning as a business owner, as a leader, as a strategist.
So
I didn't do it fast enough. So
No.
now,
So do you have enough coins on the bank when
Mhm.
you realize, okay, that strategy didn't work, let me try this one? Do you have enough coins on the bank with your team for them to trust you for the next round, right? Because we're getting coins and we're losing coins all the time as far as
Mhm.
leadership goes. And
Yeah.
so is your leadership to a point where you have enough coins that if well that strategy didn't work, oh boy, that was a spectacular failure, we're gonna pivot this way. Do you have enough coins for your team to follow you? And
Absolutely.
I
Sure.
think that's important. um and the other piece of that is, are you growing as a leader? Are you strategic in your own personal growth, right? And I love what you said. If you're so focused on the day to day, if you're just, because it goes back to where I started this podcast with, if you're saying, I want to grow my business and I want more money, that foundation only lasts for about 3.5 seconds, right?
Mhm.
So when you get to that point, that's what Doug is talking about. Now you have people nipping at your heels. And if your only foundation is, I want to grow my business and I want more money, it's all going to fall apart,
Mhm.
because that's not a strong enough foundation to sustain
Mhm.
growth, right? And then those coins start getting pulled out of your bank really quickly, um, by your team, by your leadership team, by your employees.
But even your own self, man. Like I said, I woke up today less than excited as I typically am for a Monday because the opportunity of the week, the things in the percolator, the things
Mm-hmm.
that are in the oven baking, they're further along, and I'm chomping at it. Maybe not so excited today because sometimes those little failures that don't mean so much to the team, but they start to mean more to you. You can get a little discouraged in your mindset. So
Mm-hmm.
the other thing I would tell you, Zach, is if you're strategizing and thinking about the future and in saying, hey, maybe your strategy is, I don't want to be the guy going in the house every single day.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to be in the office. Well, you need to know what you need to um, make revenue wise. You need to know what type of team that is. All that stuff has to start playing in advance ahead of time. And guess what? There are a few of you in there in this community that I completely admire. That I could say, hey, let's talk SEO and Google AdWords, and then all of a sudden they're a whiz at it. So they can fix appliances, they can keep a business running, and they're really strong in SEO. I'm like, damn, they're really good.
Mm-hmm.
Bookkeeping. How about that? Uh, can you train up leadership? Like, right? So there's these areas that you need to decide if you're not strong at it and you don't have the time to put into it. Your strategy means you need to go find partners that will do it for you. Like I was not great at finances. I'm getting better and better because we've switched bookkeepers to a bookkeeper that is teaching me at the same time as presenting to me numbers. And it's amazing, but I'm going to always have them as a partner for me at this point. That's how I foresee it. Marketing, I don't even want anything to do with it. I can hang in the conversation, but I will always pay some partner to take care of that aspect for us. And that's my personal decision.
But
Part of
I think that speaks to what's important in a business, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so you're kind of leading the day to day. So how do you understand the overhead if you don't understand the numbers? And I know this is a totally different topic that we beat to death. So, but again, like all this stuff builds on each each component builds, right? And so this is kind of important throwback is, are we paying attention to our cost of doing business? Are we paying attention to this overhead things as we're growing? And so having an accountant working with you to help you understand like the broad overall picture, like, okay, I can look at the bank account or I can look at the weekly service call log, right? And know what our numbers are. And you can roughly go, okay, next week we need to crank up Google, or next week we need to be in more Facebook groups, or next week, whatever. Like, how can you forecast that if you don't understand it? If all you understand is SEO, you're automatically going to go, well, we just need to bump more money into, Google My Business.
Right.
And you don't have that. So I think the more important thing, just as I see it in business, the more important thing is to be able to understand at a high level, like there's some core components, those KPIs, that overhead, like that, the money side of things you need to understand. You need to understand the leadership things. Other things are good to have in your tool belt. Like if you can talk with the marketing people and you understand what they're saying, cool, but it's not as important to run the day-to-day business. Do you know how to work on a Thor oven? I mean, that's kind of cool that you can talk with the technicians, but does that help you run the business in the long term? Like you can solder a copper line better than anyone else. Great. You can teach it to someone. Does it move the needle in the long term on the business? You got to ask and answer those questions for yourself. I'm not saying anything is right or wrong. I'm saying
No, it's
you
different.
have to look at your business and
you can't ignore any one of those areas.
Right.
But like forecasting. What a beautiful word. Heard it the first time like a year ago.
Right.
What's this forecasting thing?
What's this magic?
What is this magic? So, we doubled in size in 10 years. And it was through hard work and good decisions and learning from bad decisions. But it wasn't proactive in the sense that I wasn't confident in forecasting what it's going to look like and what it's going to take. And so just keep that in mind as well.
So,
like our
yours was more like walking outside and it's like, oh crap, it's raining.
Well, more or less like, hey, look at that. We're booking out 4 to 5 days and we're losing 30% of those people that book 2 or 3 days, 4 days out. I think I'll hire a technician, or maybe I'll hire 2 technicians. And everything was in response instead of forecasting, where now, thanks to our bookkeeper, I would say, here's what I want to do. We're going to try this approach and we're going to create this division within the company, which means 5 more technicians and 1 support staff. Can we run the numbers? Sure. And then it's like, so this is what your new total cost each month is going to be. And I'm like, whew. And it's kind of exciting for me because I've never done that.
Generate that? How do we, what do we need?
And so what's even cooler about that? Because when you have a good bookkeeper, she goes, here's this software program that I'm going to give to you. Here's your login. It's called Fathom. And it takes your QuickBooks, plugs it into an empty page, and you go and change those numbers. So you're going to hire 4 techs at $30 an hour and a support staff member at $28. And you're going to buy 1 van. And then it pops it all in. And I can take staff and stuff away, lower advertising costs, and it projects out. And it's like, holy mackerel, wouldn't have even thought anything like that in 2014. But the trick is to stay open-minded, keep growing that lid, and get excited about the next thing that you're learning or the next thing that's revealed to you. And the golden rule, prepare to screw up, man. You're going to fail to succeed. And don't let that take you down. Don't let that take the wind out of your sails. Just expect it.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. That's been a great topic for the day. Hopefully that helped some of those in our audience kind of think about their strategy or lack thereof, and begin to look future forward. So,
you know what we can do, because the community is so great in the Service Alliance. If someone's like, I've not been in those situations yet, we can have them come on to the podcast, right? And Saul and Rob could bash them and see if they could take the wind out of these people's sails. It could be like a practice run where it won't impact their business, only their personal mindset.
Oh, that's too funny.
Love you, Saul.
Well, get out there and love your customers well. If you're in the cold, stay warm.
Well, Saul's on. He's in. He's willing to do it for anyone who wants to go through boot camp. Bring it on. Saul's here for you. All right. Have a great week, everybody.
Enjoy, guys. We'll see you next time on the grind.
Bye, buddy.